live for the sun.
All right, so for our latest project, we're going to be taking a look at this very nice old JVC stereo receiver. This is model VR-5505, and this is personal project number 3 as I'm working my way through my own units over the summer. I got this a ways back for the incredible low price of $5 at a yard sale, and even though I don't have any particular use for the unit, I thought it would make an excellent video project. And when I had my shop up and going, I was a JVC authorized service center, and I have worked on countless audio, video, and television units from JVC from the 1980s and 1990s eras, but did not see a lot of JVC audio from back in the 1970s, which is what I believe this is from. So when I originally got this unit home, I did plug it in. We got no power whatsoever. You turn the power switch on, you get no signs of life. So we'll kind of be finding out together what's going on with this one. So as always, we'll come in and have a look at the controls, knobs, and the features of the unit. And then we'll get it opened up and see if we can figure out what's going on with it. As for our intro music this time, we're going to go back to 1987 for Jethro Tull's Crest of a Knave album. And you may remember that this album had a little controversy surrounding it, as I think a year or so later it won the Grammy for the best hard rock metal performance, which was a huge upset to a lot of Metallica fans who thought sure that their And Justice for All album was going to win that award. But I don't think it came as a bigger surprise to anyone than to Jethro Tull themselves, as they did not even schedule a trip to the United States for the ceremony, thinking that they were not going to win. There's plenty of great material on this record, and so we're going to check out a little bit of my favorite song from this called Farm on the Freeway, and then we'll get started on the JVC. All right, let's go ahead and pick back up. We'll take a tour of the controls on the unit, starting on the far left here. They do give you a nice toggle switch for the power. And of course, you'll have your 1/4-inch headphones jack, as well as your speaker selector switch. Of course, they're going to give you headphones, turning the speakers completely off, System 1, System 2, and then a combination of System 1 and 2 together. Bass, treble, and balance, of course, all very standard, and then a volume control, followed by loudness, stereo mono switch, and then a tape monitor. Just one tape monitor on this receiver. And then, of course, your selector of AM, FM, phono, and auxiliary. A fascinating thing here that I discovered is that originally I thought there was something wrong with the tuning, but you can see the dial moving back there, but there is no weighted flywheel on the back of that. So again, maybe a budget-minded receiver for these guys back in the day. And again, does kind of give me that 70s appearance. If not, it would definitely be very early 80s, if not late 70s. So let's go ahead and flip it around and we'll have a look at the back of it. All right, carrying on from the rear of the unit, starting here with your RCA connections for magnetic phono auxiliary, and then you have your tape in and out. They have them listed here as record and play. They do give you a DIN connector in case you have that type of connection for your tape deck. And surprisingly enough, we don't have flywheel tuning, but we do have preamp out main in jumpers on this one. You're going to get some antenna connections for AM, FM, and then they have a link for the internal FM antenna. Speaker connections on this, not uncommon back in those days to see screw terminals for the speakers, and that is what they have here. And then no AC outlets on this one, basically just very straightforward, not a lot of bells and whistles. So I guess the next thing we'll want to do, let's go ahead and pop the top off of it, and we'll have a look at the inside of it. So give me a moment for that, and we'll pick back up. All right, let's go ahead and come back in, and we'll take a look at the inside of the unit. We'll start on the left here with the transformer. And then we've got a connecting block here with a tube. It's probably got a fuse in it. I wouldn't be surprised if that's blown since we don't have any power whatsoever. And this one is full of old Elna caps, which if I had to venture a wager, I guess, I'd say these are all still very good. There's probably no issues with any of these larger ones, maybe the smaller value ones. As for the amplifier, 2SC 1061s, all four exactly the same, I believe. So we got that quasi-complementary design going on here. I did notice also that this thing is full of those notorious Hitachi transistors that are very problematic, depending on what we find wrong with it. And depending on how noisy some of these are will depend on whether we start changing those out or not. I just bought the receiver for a video project. I'm not planning on keeping it, although it is a pretty nice old receiver. Let's flip it around here, and let's take a look at this tuning setup that we got going on. Again, there's a peg there. They could have probably maybe included some type of a weight on the back of that, but they did not. And so that's why the tuning is pretty almost radio-ish instead of stereo receiver from back in these days. Big nice tuning gang there, tuning coil, and then several IF stages in this one. So all in all, very simple though. That doesn't look like there's a lot going on here, so we shouldn't have a hard time trying to figure out what's going on with it. So I think the first thing we should probably do, I'll go ahead and set the camera up overhead, and the first thing we'll do is we'll check these outputs and see if we have any shorts there. If we don't have any shorts there, then maybe the bridge rectifier diodes, and if we don't have anything going on there, then we'll look at the fuse, but this will be the first place we want to start. So give me a moment for that, and I'll pick back up with you. All right, as we come back in here, I went ahead and got the meter set up in the shot and show you what I discovered here, just doing a little preliminary checking on the output transistors. We'll get to the first one here. And everything looks pretty good there, but when we move over to the next one, we got a definite hard short. And it's not uncommon to see one short but not the other in this configuration. In push-pull, rarely you would see that, if ever. And then on this side, everything looks good. There doesn't seem to be any issues at all here. Yeah, there doesn't seem to be any issues at all there. And as for the fuse, we'll just kind of move the meter out of the shot for the moment. is going across these two terminals right here, and it is definitely open, as what you would expect for a short in the amplifier. The fuse would open up right away. So we have one blown output and we have an open fuse. So I think what we want to do here, let's get the bottom of the unit off, and let's go ahead and pull these two, not just the one that shorted, but both of these outputs out of circuit. And we'll check through a few of the supporting transistors in that side of the amplifier, making sure we don't have any other shorts. And then we're going to jump that fuse, or we're going to jump a fuse in there and see if we can fire it up and get the one channel working. So give me a moment for that, and we'll pick back up. All right, as we come back in, went ahead and got us flipped over to the other side so we can get to the solder side of the board, and we can go ahead and pull out these two outputs in the offending channel. We should be able to do that fairly straightforward and fairly easy with a little solder wick here. The only problem with one being shorted is unless I happen to have that exact transistor in a permanent installation, I probably wouldn't feel too good about mismatching the transistors. But in the video scenario here, if I don't have exactly what we need, we'll put something in there and get it up and get it running. We definitely don't want to damage this one. This is the good one, if I remember right. There we go. And if I had to guess, it probably wouldn't hurt to leave that transistor in there, the one that works. This one here probably wouldn't hurt to leave it in there. Looks like we got one lead of an emitter resistor here. We'll want to check that and make sure that that's not open, which it probably is. It doesn't look too good. It looks like it may have gotten hot there. All right, let's move on to the other one. Aside from a little dust in this receiver, it looks pretty clean. And I think we're going to be okay there. Let's go ahead and flip it back over, and we'll start checking through some of those smaller transistors in the supporting circuitry. Make sure we don't have anything going on there. As for the emitter, it does still ring out, but I'm sure it's probably taken on a little bit of stress. I'll go ahead and flip the board back over and we'll start looking at some of the supporting circuitry for that channel. So give me a moment for that. All right, as we come back in here, we'll go ahead and just kind of go through a few that are related to that channel of the amplifier and see if we can spot anything. I got the meter set up here so we can kind of get an idea. I'm trying to get a hold of this one that's right over here. But I don't believe I have anything. I believe we're okay. And then there's a diode there as well. No trouble there. There's two diodes right up above the transistors going right across the base and the emitter, probably. Everything seems to check out there. Doesn't seem to be anything going on. There's one tucked right in here. That's really kind of a problem to try to get to. Yeah, I don't think so. I think everything checks out good enough that we can go ahead and put a fuse in it, and we'll see if we can get it to come up. So let me go ahead and find us a fuse. We'll jump one over on the one that's blown, and then from there we'll see if it'll come up. It's only a 0.75 amp fuse, so I'll see what I can come up with, and I'll bring you back once we got something jumpered in there. All right, let's go ahead and come back in here. I went ahead and jumpered us in a 1 amp GMA. And you got one channel working, sounds pretty good. There's a little bit of static in that control, but not terrible. I do believe all the lights are working. That's what it looks like. There may be one out there. The meter light's working. All these other lights in here seem to be working. Very pretty lit up unit. And it has all your little indicator lights for the functions that you're in. And then the speaker systems. So all that's working. But to go along with the whole no flywheel on the tuning thing, we also got no mute. It won't mute. So the only functions you get for the tuner is just stereo mono. There is no muting, no anything like that. AFC. Tuner does work pretty good though. I did notice this. The meter kind of comes and goes. I think there's a dirty connection right here in the selector switch. All right, I guess the next thing, let's go ahead and start cross-referencing those parts. Let me see what I have. Maybe I have one of those transistors, and we can have a matched pair and get the other side up and going. Otherwise, we'll see what we can find for suitable substitutes for it. So give me a few minutes for that, and we'll pick back up. All right, let's go ahead and pick back up. We're going to fast forward down the road. It's been about a week or so since I left off on this unit. And at that time, we got the one channel up and going just by pulling out the shorted outputs, or output in this particular case. Just one of the two was shorted. And I jumpered us in a fuse, and we got the one side up and going. Doesn't appear to be any type of supporting circuitry damage, shorted transistors, or anything of that nature. So I went on the hunt trying to find us a suitable pair of outputs, and this is what I came up with. For this Hitachi 2SC 1081 right here, I found these two old RCA outputs I've had a long time. I'm not even sure where I got them from. These are 132-4. Basically, these cross to an NTE 152 or ECG 152, as does the C1061, excuse me, I think I said 1081. So I think we're going to throw these guys in there and see how it turns out. This is a very low wattage receiver. I think it's about 12 watts according to the service manual. And so we should be able to give these a try and see how they perform in this. This 2SC 1061 transistor, I do have another one we could use to match up with it if we needed to. But since we have this pair that doubtful I will ever use, this is going to be what we put in here. I went ahead and used the compressor, blew out all the dust in this guy, cleaned up pretty good, chipped away some of that darkened glue around some of these components here, diodes and resistors, and got all of that straightened out. Again, everything in the supporting circuitry does look to be okay. So I think what we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead and throw those guys in there and solder it back up, and we'll see if we can get the second channel of it up and going. And then we'll compare the left and right idle current and see what that, how different they are. There is no adjustments on this one, so that's kind of handled, you know, automatically, I guess you would say, or it's kind of regulated by the circuitry. And so we'll see if the one side compares to the other side kind of within tolerance. So give me a moment for that. I'll solder those up and I'll bring you back and let you know what I found out. All right, picking back up with you, I went ahead and got those RCA outputs installed on the one shorted channel there. And I'm picking up with you about an hour after I've done this. I've had it running pretty much the whole time. Heatsink is not even warm, and I've had it bumped up a few times. Both channels absolutely identical in sound. I went ahead and cleaned the controls up a little bit, and then got kind of on a tangent of wiping the front and the knobs off. And this thing is pretty much mint. I mean, it is really a nice looking receiver for the age of it. And I did confirm every single light is working. There isn't one light of this that's not working. So, very nice old receiver. As for checking bias from side to side, it was my guess here that they're doing that through these diodes across each channel, since we don't really have any test points. On the original side we didn't work on, we got 1.5 volts. On the side we did work on, we got 1.49 volts. So again, pretty much identical. Better not play that one. I think they have his music to the point to where you don't even get to use it, even if you don't monetize your videos. I could be wrong. This thing rock and rolls pretty good for its small amplifier. It would drive a set of small floor speakers or bookshelf speakers to room filling sound. There's no question about that. So what I think I want to do next, clearly I don't think we need to do anything else as far as the amplifier is concerned. If I was planning on keeping this, I would change all those small signal Hitachi transistors. Those are all problematic and known to be cause issues, especially with intermittent noise or popping. So it's possible that could have been the trigger for shorting out the amplifier, or we just had one of our outputs fail, and I've seen that happen as well. So, but yeah, if I was going to keep this for myself, I'd change all those out. There's about maybe 9 or 10 of them there, not a big deal at all to change them out. But I did find us a 0.75 amp pigtail fuse. So I think we're going to go ahead and put that fuse in, and then we're going to do a final play test on this, and we're going to wrap this one up, because it is about as simple as you could ask for as far as an amplifier repair. Again, not a very complicated amplifier, but at the same time, you know, no external component damage or supporting component damage, just simply output failure and a blown fuse. So I'm going to go ahead and put that fuse in, and I'll pick back up with you, and we'll do a final play test on this one, and we'll wrap this one up. All right, so as we pick back up, taking a final look at our JVC VR-5505. Went ahead and got our pigtail fuse cut out and put the other one in. So we do have a working receiver completely reassembled. And if one of you sees this video and you're interested in this receiver and you'd like to have it, I'll be more than happy to give it to you for the incredible low price of $5, which is what I paid for it. Of course, you will have to pay the shipping on the unit, probably between 40 and 50 bucks, I would imagine. I do package my equipment very well when I ship it, so that does add a little extra weight to it, but I don't have any reason to keep this, but somebody might can get some good use out of it. Very nice old receiver. Make the perfect centerpiece to a small office system, or maybe you're just getting started in vintage audio. This would make a great starter receiver for someone just getting into it. You'll receive it in working condition as it is right now, but of course there is no warranties implied when you get this unit. If you have issues with it, you'll need to fix it. And the only thing I would recommend to you over and beyond what I've done in this video is to replace out all of the Hitachi transistors. You might can use the receiver and just kind of see if those start to become problematic, and if they, you know, don't give you issues, then you might want to let it ride. But if I was going to keep this for myself, I'd probably switch those out. Anyway, you can email me and let me know if you're interested in it. I'll be more than happy to get it packed up for you. You can send me some money PayPal, and I'll ship it off to you with a tracking number, so you know you didn't get ripped off. So anyway, when I started looking at this receiver, I don't know, for whatever reason, I started thinking about the band Montrose and you know, the beginnings of Sammy Hagar's career, and in particular the song Space Station Number 5. So we're going to play that on the way out today. And as always, I want to thank you guys very much. Appreciate you checking out all the videos on this channel as well as this video. And I will catch you on the next one. So let's crank up a little Montrose on this vintage JVC on our way out.